Hi, I'm Amber. Back in September of 2023, I sold my little 1987 vintage camper van and bought myself a Peugeot Expert from the year 2000. That's 13 years newer. Very fancy. Since September, I haven't really done much work at all on converting the van, and this video is kind of about why, but also showing the work I have actually done so far, which is more than I thought. For the last quarter of 2023, I was using the van for work as a market trader, so I couldn't really get much done on it because if the van was kind of in progress and mid-build, it would make it really complicated and difficult and annoying to use. Some of the screws are so rusty that it's easier to just rip the wood to get it out. But I'm just kind of pulling it off the wall gradually. I planned to get really stuck in with the work on the van in January of 2024, but it didn't really go to plan. Here's why. I'm scared. I'm scared I'll do something wrong. I'm scared I'll ruin my van. I'm scared I won't have the ability to pull this all together. I'm scared to be seen learning and doing things wrong and making mistakes. Fear is such a killer of motivation, and it makes it feel impossible to just get up and start a task. I'm also too much of a perfectionist. I have this perfect van in my head and this clear image of how the van will look when it's finished, but I don't really need to rush to that point. I can take my time. I need to remind myself and allow myself to take this build slowly if that's the only way that it will work for me. If I simply get a kitchen, a sofa bed, and some simple electrics in the van and it stays that way for a while, that's still great. If I just insulate the van and use an air mattress in the back of it for a while, that's also great. Slow progress is still forward progress, and I think we all need a reminder of that sometimes. This is the first step. This is me making a start on the build rather than just demolishing what was already in the van when I bought it. Once I had finished taking out all the old shelving, flooring, walls, as well as the tricky ceiling, I had a blank canvas to get working on. Although I did forget to take some wooden panels off the sliding doors, and I still need to get that done. Demolishing was physically difficult, but mentally very easy. I didn't really have to think or have much of a plan. There wasn't much fear, I just had to rip out the old and make way for the new. Next, I had to learn new skills and build a van. This felt like, and still feels like, a huge and overwhelming task. So I broke it up into much smaller steps. Part 1 is prep. That involves ripping out all the old stuff in the van, as you've just seen, removing the paint from the rear windows, treating the rust in preparation for insulation. That rhymes. So that's all I had to focus on. Not the whole daunting task of building an entire little home on wheels, but the far simpler task of treating some rust. Even then, that felt a little scary. It was a whole new thing to learn and try for the first time, but I eventually got stuck in. The kind of annoying thing with treating the rust is that I would feel this motivation to get it done, and I would apply a layer of treatment and be ready to do more work on the van, but there would be nothing I could do until that treatment on the rust had dried. So obviously I've had to rip out the wooden floor in my previous video to get to the metal, and I put all this down because I was going to do the flooring, and then I was like, right, now I've gone way ahead of myself, we need to do the rust first and everything. So I'm going to rip up all of this tape and then get started with the brush. At no point should anyone ever think this is a tutorial. I don't know what I'm doing. I literally can't get some of this up. I'm going to try with the rust removing brush and see how that goes. I also found out, unless anyone knows any different, on a Mark 1 Peugeot Expert you can't open the rear doors from inside. Not a big issue, as well I will be blocking this sliding door, I won't be blocking this one. So I just went out and measured up for the window that I'm going to put in. Sorry, I'm just playing with the cat. measured up to the window I'm going to put in, and I think it should be alright, but my worry is the door that I'm putting the window on is a curved surface like this, and the window will be flat and it's a front and back frame kind of squeezing together, and I worry about warping the metal and if that's okay, but people put big windows on camper vans all the time, and I'm going to be putting a relatively small window on my van. Now that the rust is all treated and the van is bare and ready to be converted into a little camper, my next focus is insulation. However, rather annoyingly, I can't complete the insulation without first adding 3 exterior things, as I will need to build the walls and ceiling around these. 1. Cut a hole for the electric hookup. This shouldn't be too hard, but it does involve me cutting a hole in the side of the van, which I'm terrified to do. 2. Add a window on the driver's side sliding door. Again, this involves cutting a hole in the side of the van, but an even bigger one, so I'm even more terrified to do this. 3. A solar panel. I don't need to complete my entire electric setup before I insulate the van, but I do need to have the solar panel up and ready so that I can add the cable entry point into the ceiling and then build the ceiling and insulation around that. While I have fitted a solar panel before, that was a much simpler flexi panel, which essentially just stuck on like a big sticker, and my old van had a completely flat roof. This solar panel will be a completely different process, and that makes me nervous. I will have to overcome my fears and get on with the van conversion, but this will take time, and this is why it has been such slow progress so far. I hope you'll stick around for the journey to see how it turns out, and please subscribe so you don't miss any updates. Hopefully in the next video I'll be getting on with the insulation, installing windows and electric hookup and everything. I'm so scared. If you have any advice that you want to give me, please drop it below, because genuinely that would be really helpful if you know any kind of tips and tricks and things that will help me out. Thanks for watching.